Yet more evidence emerged today of the scale of the atrocities committed in Kosovo. Hundreds more bodies have been found in several areas of the province as Serb troops continued their pullout. Today, American forces arrested 2 Serbs who will be investigated for possible war crimes. Our Europe correspondent Bill Neely has visited one of the sites where a massacre took place and reports on the misery it's left behind.
This is Suvoreka, where 50,000 people once lived. It's destroyed and it's empty. When NATO began bombing, Serbian police and paramilitaries ran amok here. I counted 3 mass graves on one small stretch of road. More than 200 people are buried here. There are fresh graveyards dotted all around this town. 36 graves in this one, but each grave containing more than one person. 2 here, 3 there, 5, 9 over there. Sanja Gashi came home to Suvoreka from Albania today to find her son's blood-stained hat and his grave in the back garden. He was shot in front of his children by Serb paramilitaries who murdered, as they called, at every house on the street. The refugees are returning to a very different Kosovo, where the KLA rebels, not the Serbs, patrol the streets and share the streets with NATO soldiers, who for now are making no attempt to disarm them. Both say they're in control. So you say you're 100% in control, they say they're in control.
Exactly. What is the wrong thing?
Well, 2 people can't be 100% in control,
yes,
so someone has to give.
They can.
They can't, and soon the refugees will witness another shift of power, as they will witness other sites. And watch as more proof is uncovered, as it was today, of mass graves and massacres, of the rape and pillage and wholesale destruction of a province the Serbs said was the heart of their civilization. Bill Neely, ITN, Suvoreka, Kosovo.
War crimes investigators from Britain today went to a village where Serb forces are accused of disposing of their victims by throwing them down wells. James Mates reports from Kotlina, close to the Macedonian border.
There can be little doubt the Serbs visited the town of Kotlina during the occupation. They left their calling card in the same way they have in so many villages in what was once Yugoslavia. But high on a hillside above Kotlina, villagers took me to a place where, they say, 24 of their young men were butchered by Serbian soldiers. They'd been hiding in the hills when they were surrounded, executed, their bodies dumped 30 feet down a disused well. An explosive charge then blew the sides in on top of them.
As is so often the case when these sites are first discovered, the evidence is circumstantial and depends heavily on the accounts of Kosovo Albanian villagers. But here it is quite clear that recently someone has gone to considerable effort to fill in this well and to cover up something.
Among the dead were 2 brothers, Ibush and Nasa Loku, just 19 and 17 years old. Their father told me about the day he was separated from his sons as they fled up the hillside. I heard the shootings, he said, but I couldn't do anything to help them. But even as fresh massacres are being discovered, war crimes investigators are starting their work. 2 British policemen have made a preliminary inspection of the mass grave at Kachanik, first discovered 3 days ago by ITN. Their leader, a veteran of Scotland Yard's anti-terrorist squad, has no doubt what he's looking at here.
Some massacre has taken place here, and fairly recently, and obviously we'll conduct a meticulous scene examination to obtain some evidence that we can put before the War Crimes Tribunal.
But it's becoming increasingly clear that this is just one site among many, too many perhaps, to investigate them all. Getting evidence to the War Crimes Tribunal is going to be laborious and very slow work. James Mates, ITN, Southern Kosovo.
Today, the last of the Serb troops finally left the Kosovo capital, Pristina. At the same time, NATO again urged Serb civilians to stay. They've been pouring out of Pristina because they say they're now the victims of hatred by ethnic Albanians. Mark Austin reports.
Serbian tanks heading north today, out of Kosovo, back to Serbia. And as they depart, behind them come British forces, advancing through the province to the ecstatic delight of Kosovo's Albanian population. But as they celebrate the arrival of NATO troops, it is now Serb civilians who are living in fear here. Fleeing north, running the gauntlet of Albanian hatred, convoys of Serb cars attacked by the Albanians. the smell of revenge and reprisal is in the air, and the Serbs do not trust NATO to stop it. Today we came across Alexander Sepeljic and his mother packing their cars to leave for Serbia.
My family and me don't know who protect, but we go to Serbia. We are the refugees.
You are frightened now?
Yes.
Across Pristina today, there are Serbian families packing up and preparing to leave, just like this family. It is the biggest challenge now facing NATO, persuading the Serb civilian population here that it can protect them. This afternoon, British troops were called to a Serb village where Kosovo-Albanian gunmen had during the night ordered the Serbs out. They held a gun at our heads, this man told us. As a result, many Serbs were already leaving. Others told the British troops they simply did not trust NATO to protect them.
We have no trust in nothing, Kelly, nothing.
As the Serbs depart, they are burning their own villages as well as Albanian ones. The fear this evening is of a new bout of revenge killing in Kosovo. Mark Austin, ITN, Pristina.
And we're getting unconfirmed reports of a massacre involving more than 50 people, including 24 children. They were said to have been shot in a room by a Serb policeman who then killed those still alive with a hand grenade. It's said to have happened in the village of Poklek in March. On to other news now. Over the mantle of power to Thabo Mbeki. The new president promised to fight what he called the nightmare of post-apartheid poverty. The new car Rover hopes will steer it out of the motoring doldrums goes on sale tomorrow. The BMW-owned company is pinning everything on the luxury 75 model after a series of crises at Rover. This year alone, UK sales of Rover cars have slumped by nearly a third. Here's Ros Childs.
This is the car that Rover hopes will secure its future. The new Rover 75 goes on sale tomorrow at a price of between £18,000 and £25,000. Rover and its 39,000 workers at Cowley and especially at Longbridge hope the new car will convince BMW, Rover's German owner, that the British company is worth saving. But Rover is already in deep trouble. Last year, its operating losses were £466 million. In the first half of this year alone, it's already down another £330 million, and 4,000 jobs have been cut since January. But motor industry experts question who the new Rover will appeal to.
It seems that Rover have almost gone a bit over the top in the terms of having it making the car a little piece of England. Maybe that's a bit of the BMW influence there, trying to distance it from their own products.
Rover hasn't put an official figure on how many 75s it hopes to sell. The sales expectations are estimated at 50,000 this year and 100,000 next. Rover's workers hope that the new model will put them firmly on the road to success and job security. Ros Childs, ITN, North London.
On to sport now, and the world 100 metres sprint record was smashed tonight in Greece. America's Maurice Green set a new time of 9.79 seconds at a special event in Athens, the birthplace of track and field events. It beat the previous record by 0.05 of a second. And Damon Hill shocked the world of motor racing today by announcing his retirement. The ex-world champion says he's fulfilled his ambitions and will go at the end of the season. Michael Schumacher, who's been Hill's great rival on the track, said it was a real pity. Peter Staunton reports.
It was only last month that the oldest man on the grid was talking about the reasons why he would eventually retire.
Whether I wasn't enjoying it or I wasn't succeeding or I wasn't in a position to be competitive, that's really the only thing.
Well, that time came sooner than anyone expected. A mistake in Sunday's race damaged only the car and his pride, but he knew he was going nowhere fast. It was time to get out.
For the first time, he's being outdriven by his teammate, Heinz Harald Frentzen. And I suspect it's all come together and he's just lost a bit of motivation.
He was a late starter at 32 and learnt his craft from the master. But it was only after Senna's fatal accident that Hill began his assault on the world title.
After he died, Damon really did support the team very, very strongly and made an exceptional contribution.
He should have been champion in '94 when Schumacher drove his stricken car across his path. But 2 years later, he had his revenge, and his place in motor racing history was secure. Peter Staunton, ITN Sport.
On to tonight's National Lottery and the winning